And we're back for another A Member a Day Through the Holidays feature. Today we talk photography with the one and only Sean Lamb talking about his business, Photography by Sean Lamb. Very aptly named for this particular gentleman. Sean, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
I'm really,
Surprisingly well for what's going on this year.
I know you and I were just talking before about how busy you've been. That's great news.
Yeah, a lot of commercial work because businesses still need to advertise and they still need photos of their products and they still need photos of their locations to advertise themselves. And that's what I help them with.
One of your main hubs as you entered was getting in with Google. Talk to us about how that
Mhm.
kind of got started and what you did there.
I've been doing photography as a hobby since the mid 70s. Um, had a brief 15-year long ish stint in computer science. And then when that wasn't working out the way I expected, I was looking at my hobbies, and photography is something that is commercially viable. And I was looking at how I can differentiate myself as a photographer from all the other photographers that are already in the space. And about the same time I was doing that, Google introduced the Google Business View program at that time. It was a way to extend Street View from Google Maps into the interiors of businesses. The program has since been renamed to Google Street View Trusted Photography, but it's still full 360-degree panorama views of business interiors. And I've been doing a lot of those since I joined that program in 2012. In fact, just this month finished a series of tours for another Dane by Local member. That's the Healthy Place. We photographed all of their 4 stores, and those tours are online right now.
I love that bringing that across the internet to people, that experience, and that you're helping to
Yeah,
do that.
yeah,
So
yeah. People love familiarity, and they like to know what they're getting into before they go to a location. And seeing a virtual tour of a business interior really helps familiarize the potential customer and also put them at ease that they know what they're expecting.
that's how you kind of really got your first business. But what has it
Mhm.
grown to since then?
Well, I thought Google Business View would be a lot more of my business when I started, but since then it's grown into doing a lot of commercial work. Um, just today, I signed up onto 9 food shoots for next week. So I've been doing a lot of food photography. Um, Doing the virtual tours is very similar to real estate photography. So I got onto a bunch of those shoots. Because I've been doing the virtual tours, someone from Apartment Guide called and said, "Hey, we can you do these shoots for us too?" So I've been doing a lot of shoots for Apartment Guide, and now they're transitioning their name over to RentPath. So if you're looking for an apartment somewhere to live nearby, a lot of those are ones that I photograph now too. It seems to go in cycles as to what is the most popular business uh, for what I'm working on at a certain time. A couple of years ago, it was all apartment shoots, and the last 2 years, I've been doing a lot more food shoots. And just in the last couple of months, I've had more virtual tours again. I also help out a friend, another photographer, with some event photography, and we've had a couple of photo booth shoots that we've had this year. When everything hit in March, that shut down completely, and we've had a lot of cancellations and a lot of reschedules on that, but that's going again on a much smaller scale, but it's gone.
Businesses still need services.
Right.
You're there to provide services, and that's going well. So that's really great to hear. And I'm going to take you back a little bit, Sean, because you've been doing this a while.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit, especially for the younger people watching this, about how photography has changed, how the tools have changed, like all of that, because it's so different now than it used to be.
When I started photography, I was doing it as a hobby in the mid 70s. We were all using these little things, film cans, and I still shoot some film for personal projects. And I'm building up a collection of film cameras made by Kodak specifically. So anything with the Kodak label on it, I'm interested. But my whole thing with that is, the camera has to work because I'm going to take it out and use it. So I started with film photography, and then took a stint in computer science. Um, it was just the thing at the time, and I'm pretty glad I did, because by the time I figured out that wasn't the path for me, everyone in photography was doing digital. And so having that computer science background, I was able to pick up digital immediately. And the physics of light is exactly the same no matter what you're shooting with. Whether you're shooting on film or shooting on digital, light is light. And f-stops and shutter speeds work exactly the same no matter what camera you're using. So having all that experience with film photography in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and then learning and specializing in computer support and programming, it just all combined for me into this is the right thing for me.
Tell us a little bit about this, because a lot of people, especially with everyone's smartphones, we're taking pictures all the time. What makes a good photograph, Sean? What's the difference in a good photograph or a great photograph?
It's going to sound like an economist here, but the answer is it depends. um, there is so much that goes into taking a good photograph. What you're trying to show in your photo is a huge thing. Whether you're trying to just document a scene or make a statement or show something that's happening, like in photojournalism, the intent is the first step of it. What are you trying to show in your photos? What story are you trying to tell? And then beyond that, are you using all the right technical settings for getting what you really want? We often talk about pre-visualizing a photo before we go out and taking it. And a lot of times with the commercial work that I do, I don't have to work very hard about visualizing it because the art director or whoever hired me has a specific thing that they're looking for. But when I'm out on my own, I'm looking for something that's interesting, something that tells a story, and then to show it in an interesting way. So like we've got my Instagram showing here right now. The one over here on the right that looks like a kind of a rock is actually petrified wood from the Dickeyville Grotto. That's one of the rocks that they had glued onto the temple there outside. And I thought it looked really interesting. So I photographed it and just positioned it in the frame. And I really liked all the color around it. So I made sure to keep it in color. If you go on down to the next line on that same Instagram feed, there's those 3 film boxes there, the P30 Ferrania film. That is black and white film. And I wanted to show that film in black and white. So it's a digital photo of black and white film, but it's converted to black and white because that's the mood that I wanted to show. There's a whole bunch more that you can go into about composition and the use of color and the depth of field and all the technical stuff, but it all comes down to what are you trying to show and what story are you trying to tell?
In terms of the old film, that's really interesting. You told me you're picking up some old film because you can get some really interesting effects from that. Tell us about that.
Yeah, film always has an expiration date on it because the chemistry actually wears out. It will go bad after a while. Things will degrade. And part of the art of using expired film is the surprise of it. You're shooting the film just like you would shoot brand new film, but when you get it back from the developer, you might have a light leak streak on it, or there might be a little blotch of where the chemicals wore out and it didn't develop properly. Sometimes that'll ruin the photos. Other times it will really make it turn into magic.
Okay, so I'm diving deep into photography and you're giving away all your tips and tricks. But so let's get back to your business here, Sean. Right. What are you really finding that you want to focus on as a photographer these days?
Since I started my business, I've been doing commercial work. It's mostly been business to business type of work. So shooting product, doing food shoots for restaurants, doing real estate shoots for realtors, doing shoots for Apartment Guide so that they can rent out those apartments, photographing virtual tours of businesses to help the businesses advertise to their clients. So most of what I've been doing has been on that commercial side. I've done a couple of weddings and a couple of other events. I still think it's fun, but it's really more of a side business to the main commercial work that I do. I haven't found one that I want to turn down yet, but I've been getting so much commercial work and just having fun with it that I haven't needed to do a whole lot of event work.
Where can people find you? So we saw the Instagram, we saw the
Mhm.
Facebook, but what's the best way for people to reach out and contact you if they're interested?
Most of my online presence is under the same sort of name. My website is seanlamphoto.com. My Instagram and Facebook are Sean Lamb Photo. The Instagram and Facebook are more current than my website. I had planned to do a full revamp of my website this year when things shut down. I thought I would have a lot more time, but then businesses kept calling me for helping them advertise, so I kept working. I still hope to get a revamp of my website done. So right now, if you look at my website, there are some errors that'll pop up, but you'll see some of the examples of some of the older shoots that I've done. But the Instagram, I've put a bunch of behind the scenes on there. There's a call button right there on my Facebook page that'll connect right to my cell phone. You can email me. My email address is sean@seanlamphoto.com, just like it shows now on the screen there. Otherwise, email or text or call or find someone that knows me and say, hey, can you get in touch with him for me? So I do a lot of networking.
I always run into you and have run into you at Dane by Local events now virtually, but also,
Mhm.
we saw you in person all the time. You're always there helping out with
Right.
things. So
I think that's a lot of fun too. So.
Yeah, very easy to talk to, and you'd always bring the photo booth and have fun.
Mhm.
Those are always great for events too. So we're hoping to get back to that at some point, Sean. But you found a way to keep busy. That's great
Yes.
to hear, and I'm really excited for you. I love talking with you. Thanks for sharing some insight into photography for us. And I hope the rest of the year continues strong for you. That's great.
I hope so. I'm optimistic based on the way the year has gone so far.
All right, that is photography by Sean Lamb, Mr. Sean Lamb. Take care of yourself, Sean. Good to see you. We'll be back tomorrow for another A Member a Day through the holidays.
Thanks.